Hello, welcome to the Around the NBA playoff edition. Manny, it's good to see you, buddy. Back at it
See you
again
too.
here. Oh my God, so much playoff action here. God, what a crazy game last night. Honestly, I mean, look, obviously, look like we've been saying here is when it comes to obviously Celtics game. Pretty straightforward. I mean, you said it. We've been saying it. You've been hearing it the whole show. The last few shows, nobody picked Miami to win this game.
No.
Nobody. Like, I mean, look, even with the Celtics not having Kristaps Porzingis last night, they didn't have to even worry about him with taking care of that game. I think it was pretty one-sided, very quick.
But I mean, Aaron, the thing is that's how deep the Celtics are. Like
Yeah.
they didn't even, like you said, they didn't even need Porzingis.
No.
Like the last show we had, I literally said that there might be a bit of a hard time because he's not going to be in the court. So like, I feel like Bam would just eat in the paint, but couldn't eat in the paint because that's how good the Celtics are. As much as we are Laker fans, we hate to admit that they're a really good team. But the thing I want to talk about the Celtics for a second.
Yeah.
There's a guy that I've been very high on, and I still feel like he's incredibly slept on, and that's Derek White. He just keeps producing every single night. Aaron, I wish we had a guy like that on our team, man. Like, Derek White is just so spectacular every night. Like, he literally had, without even trying, he had 25 points, and he shot 5 for 10 from 3. It's incredible. Like, he just steps on the court and he just makes things happen. He's not their best player, obviously, but he's just like, he just brings that tenacity on the court, and they're just so good with him in the lineup. Like, I feel like as long as Derek White is going to be there for Boston, they're definitely going to run away with the East.
I mean, by far. I mean, I think even though I'm sure we have people that definitely have their opinions about the Celtics, and you have every right to be. Obviously, me being in California, and Manny being in Canada. I mean, obviously everybody has their own differences on the Celtics, and obviously if you're an LA fan, and whether you're Lakers or Clippers, I mean, generally you're not gonna. LA and Boston have always had that a rivalry between them, so you're not.
Montreal
you're
too.
Gonna, yeah,
In
Montreal.
in hockey, Montreal, Boston's like our enemy.
Exactly. So
yeah.
I mean, look, this Celtics. Whenever you mention a Boston team, it's always gonna kind of be in an enemy territory. But the real highlight, and I mean, Matthew of all people, we all know how big of a Clipper fan he is. That game right there, the Clippers and the Mavs. I remember saying something on that show, on our last show, that said, what kind of version of Paul George are we going to have? Are
Yes,
you going to have
I
the
agree.
same Paul George that came out there and absolutely manhandled them in the last game versus last night's game where Paul George, playoff Paul George, had 5 points in the game. 5 points in the game.
Yep.
So, considering you scored over combined 66 points in the game before, and then tonight or last night they scored 22. I mean, Manny, it's exactly what we were saying. Look, Luka and Kyrie were phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. That game last night, obviously, for those that don't know, the Clippers suffered their worst loss in playoff history, 30 point loss.
They did.
That was, yeah. So they obviously people are going to see that, and you know what? Paul George is going to realize what he did. Ty Lue is on his team about it as well. But you know what? Going into this game, I mean, look, you knew that Kyrie and Luka were going to have to produce. You knew that right off the bat. They can't just sit, even if you're playing in LA, it doesn't matter. You got to keep it. You got to leave LA with a series lead in their books. And they came out there and they were great. And obviously, shout out to Dallas. They were shooting phenomenal the whole game.
Oh, 1,000%. And I was mentioning at the last show that Kyrie was the one who carried the last game, but this game, it was definitely Luka's turn.
Oh, yeah.
Luka literally played like Luka. He had 35 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists. He also had a triple-double without even trying. That's how good he is. And the crazy part is, he didn't even shoot the ball great, and they still blew out the Clippers. But back to Paul George for a second. Aaron, like you were saying, what version would we get of Paul George? And last night was a travesty. Oh my God, I'm just looking at these shooting percentages from Paul George from last night, and they're like awful.
Insane.
He shot 4 for 13 from the field. That is a big yikes. And if you're a Clippers fan watching this, Kawhi is not playing. You need everything you need from Paul George. And if he is not producing, look, as Laker fans, like, we know how we feel about the Clippers. But the thing is, if Paul George is not going to show up and Kawhi is not playing, you're not winning the game. There's no way. But maybe that was karma too for the Clippers, because I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter, but they had a billboard outside of the Staples Center saying that Dallas to Cancun flight or something like that. So I guess that was karma for them. Like, you're trolling the Mavericks.
Can't be doing that.
Karma's gonna bite you in the butt. I'm sorry.
Cannot be doing that. Literally, like, I mean, if you look at this, they literally, like, you know, people, of course, I mean, look, the media, everybody's saying, oh, the Clippers are going to wrap this up. Oh, the Clippers are going to take care of business here. You know, I've told Matthew, we were on the show last time too. I said, look, you know, if their team is inconsistent when it comes to the next man up mentality, you know, they don't have that. And right now it's like the Amir Coffees, Zubac. We've seen him active. They've been using Mason Plumlee a lot. But it's like, okay, what are you going to get from them? You get a great Game 5. Great. Game 5, you're phenomenal. Or Game 4, you're phenomenal. Great. Game 5, you're okay. Okay, what are you going to get out of a Game 6? Are you going to be as aggressive as you were? Are you going to be in the same level of intensity as you've been playing in the series to begin with? You know, you just don't know exactly what kind of situation you're going to be in when it comes to, like, how you're going to play. And that's what the Clippers, that's where media is always going to come after the Clippers. I'm sorry, but I thought they were going to come out and actually I thought it was going to be literally a close game, wire to wire. Playing in LA, playing on their court. Also, you know, obviously for those that don't know, and if you don't know, it's, you know, there is a smaller percentage that might not. This is the last year the Clippers being at Staples Center, so they are getting their own building, which they truly deserve, to establish their own identity and their own franchise, and just be away from separate the Lakers and the Clippers, which is great. Finally get their own space. So, you know, it could be potentially, that could have been the last game they had there. And I mean, that's kind of a little sour taste for fans too.
Yes, it is. But like you said, it's very, very good that they're getting out of the arena, because they've like think about it. They've always been in under the Lakers' shadow every single year.
Yeah.
I mean, they freaking cover our banners every single game they play us. Oh, what's up, Jay?
What's going on, Jay? Welcome, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, always good to see you, bro. Anyways, as I was gonna say, like, they're always covering our banners, so that should tell you they're in our shadow and they're jealous of us that we have 17. They have 0. They never even made a finals appearance.
No.
I'm actually surprised that they ended up building the arena when I found out in Inglewood. I thought they were going to move to either Orange County or San Diego, because, you know, like, there's like Inglewood is still I never been, like, I don't live in LA obviously, but I know a bit about LA. Like, Inglewood is still in LA, so it kind of like doesn't make sense why they're still in the LA market, but it makes sense why they moved, because, you know, Steve Ballmer is a billionaire. He wanted to get the fan base. Like, didn't he get like a big TV contract with KTLA? I heard about that as well. So I guess that's kind of why they stayed in the LA market, because they wanted to gain the fan base. But when there's Lakers fans in LA, you can't compete. Like we already have the fan base in LA. Your fan base is probably still stuck in San Diego where you used to play back in the 80s. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, I mean, look, they have fans everywhere too. Certain around the world, like there's people that are Clippers fans, there's people that are Dallas fans. The most important thing is, having a clean game and, everybody gets along. That's, in the end of the day, that's the best, important, and safest thing for people to do. But, we're going to talk more about the Clippers and Mavs towards the end. But obviously, with the Pacers and the Bucks today closed out their series as well. Officially, the Pacers advance 4-2. So they are done as well, and they get a little bit of a break. But as well as what's going on is with the Knicks and the Sixers, that game is still going on, and the Knicks lead comfortably in the game. Also in leading in the series. Manny, your thoughts on obviously the Bucks Pacers series? Did you honestly think there was any chances at all Milwaukee was going to play at all, knowing that Giannis was not going to be the rest of the time?
Absolutely not. When you're hearing that like Giannis is injured, Lillard is fighting through an injury, Pacers are deep. If you're going to beat the Pacers, you need your two guys to show up, and they have been injured, so I can't really fathom the reason why they're not playing. But look, it happens. But also, Tyrese Halliburton has been phenomenal all season, and he played phenomenal in that series.
Oh yeah,
I believe he almost had a triple-double, even him tonight. He was phenomenal, and of course, the move that made them put him over the hump, obviously, was Pascal Siakam.
Oh yes.
Him getting traded to there really helped their team a lot because it gave them a balanced front court. Miles Turner was doing too much of the work. You needed a guy next to him in Pascal Siakam in order to clean the boards because Milwaukee, they play big. I know Giannis wasn't there, but usually they have Giannis and Brook Lopez in the lineup.
Yeah.
So you need guys to cover them and you need guys to play defense on them. So that was actually a great thing that they did to get Pascal Siakam. Shout out to the Pacers GM for pulling that off. And that's going to be an interesting series. If the Knicks end up pulling this off and beating the Sixers, I can't wait to watch that series, Knicks and Pacers. It's going to give a bit of 1990s vibes when they had Patrick Ewing and Reggie Miller.
Oh my God! I mean, look, I would love to see just one of the series, and I have a feeling it's going to be the Pacers and the Knicks. Obviously, the Knicks are at 41-32 with 7:25 left in the second quarter. But you know what though? I'd love to see that the Knicks and the Pacers, old school basketball, literally, like you were saying, you don't see much of that. Obviously, that's kind of the trend of the NBA, and that's something that that's people lean more towards the 3-pointers, and that's how the league is adapted to basketball within the last 3 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be nice to kind of just see both of these two go at it and say, hey, the lowest 3-point percentages shot in the game in a series since so and so, and I think that'd be great, honestly, and I think that's something that needs to happen because maybe it's a big eye opener to the people that are watching in that series to say, hey, look, these two teams, extremely talented, have extremely great big men that are in this game, feeding them the ball, running everything through them. Why are we just rotating the 3-pointers then? Let that be another example in the playoffs for somebody to say, hey, great, maybe this should be something. All right, if the Knicks and the Pacers could do this in a series, why can't a good chunk of these NBA teams that used to rely on it, obviously hence the Lakers and hence a few other teams, they used to play big lineups and just be focused on paint dominance and the lowest 3-point percentages per game. It's you would think, right?
Look, sadly, the game evolved.
Yeah,
there's a lot of threes that happened, but I guess because me and you are both old school, so we want to see back to like the bully ball of the 90s and the 80s, but
Oh yeah, that was the best one.
Steph Curry revolutionized the game. There's 3-pointers that are taken from everybody now. Like look at Trae Young when he got drafted. He's kind of like a replicatory clone basically of him. All he does is shoot threes now.
Yeah, I mean, he literally is the replica of like, hey, I'm gonna mirror this guy. I wanna be the next Curry. I wanna be the next,
Exactly.
I wanna be the greatest I could possibly can from shooting beyond deep. And it's part of the league. I mean, look, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying, like, in general, I still say, look, there's a time and a place to shoot a three. If you're wide open and you're doing your transition moments that you're going to shoot a three, go for it. But like trying to just run everything, pick and roll, kick it out to a three, shoot it, miss, do the same, run the same plays again and over and over and over again is right where the league needs to say, hey, enough. I think it's enough is enough there. And I think that's where you need to just find the balance. Like, there's a time and a place to shoot the three. There's a time that you need to just take dominance in the paint. I think that's something that, it's obviously something that, you can always hope that playoff teams, surprise everybody and say, hey, we're playing like this. Somebody match us and say, hey, let's, if we could do it, you guys could do it. So
absolutely.
But Knicks, obviously, I think, Manny, at this point, I think in that series, Knicks with the Knicks and the Sixers right now, I'm pretty sure New York is on their way to win this game. Let's talk about the Knicks. Like they've been bad. They were bad for so long, having their moments. Julius Randle's had his moments, obviously, with that team. I know how much you enjoy watching the Knicks play as well. What's your take, obviously, on how New York's been playing in this series? Obviously, I think we all know that series is going to be well against the Pacers, but how did you think in general with this series against the Sixers played out? Did you think at all it was going to be close, competitive? Did you have this series originally going 6 or 7 games? Like, what's your take on it?
I actually did have it to go to 7 games. I literally said on my spaces that I do with Vince that I had this series Sixers in 7 just because, like, I don't know. I guess because I wanted to be different. I wanted to see an upset. The Sixers usually are a good team, but they always disappoint in the playoffs. I feel like they're literally the Clippers of the East. But the thing is, it's just I like Tyrese Maxey. I like Joel Embiid. I love that duo. But the problem is Sixers depth is just not that good. Like who's their third best player exactly? Like Tobias Harris is like incredibly inconsistent.
Yeah.
Paul Reed it is almost a non-factor off the bench most of the games. So, like, that's the thing. Like I always say, like, third star doesn't matter, but you always want to have that third star that's, like, not like carrying a heavy load, but just, like, producing a little bit. Like, for example, on the Lakers, sometimes it's Austin Reeves, sometimes it's Rui Hachimura, sometimes it's D'Angelo Russell. For the Sixers, we don't know who that third guy is most of the games.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason why they always fold the way they do, and the reason why they folded in this series. Mind you, they won the last game. Congrats to them that they won last game. But the thing is, Jalen Brunson is just too damn good. Remember when he got drafted by Dallas, and Dallas just flipped him for a bunch of draft picks, and they just got rid of him?
Crazy.
Like, it's crazy how much he literally revolutionized his game in New York.
Yeah.
Like, he is the best player on the Knicks now, and it's not even close. And also, as a Nova fan, I am super proud of him. Because I watched him for many years on Villanova, and I am so proud to see how far this guy developed. And look, if the Knicks end up shocking the world and winning a championship, I'm going to be so happy for my guy, Jalen Brunson. And the Knicks fans are incredibly passionate. It's always going to be Yankees number 1 in New York, but everybody knows that number 2 team in New York is definitely the Knicks. If they win the championship,
oh yeah,
Manhattan is going to be a zoo. I'm just saying that right now. Oh my God,
a zoo. That saying that Manhattan would be a zoo is saying it lightly. I mean, they would be. It would be crazy. I mean, obviously, that'd be like a scenario of like the Dodgers and the Yankees being in a World Series together. Obviously, the fans in general, everybody would go crazy for it. It'd be a heck of a series. But obviously, I think New York's been great this year, though. I think they were the better team in this series, 100%. I completely agree with what you were saying. You just don't know what you're going to get from the Sixers.
All the time.
Obviously, you were comparing before we started. You were comparing the Sixers to the Clippers a little bit, and we'll get in. Obviously, we'll talk about the Game Sixes tomorrow because we have a few. But obviously, where does the Sixers go from here too? I mean, look. It looks like obviously anything can happen, but as far as we know, obviously this game looks like it's pretty much in the bag. But any lead, as we know in the NBA, no lead is ever safe, and actually it's 41-38. So literally no lead is ever safe. So where if the Sixers do lose this game, Manny, what's your opinion on where they go? Do you think obviously now you have to really circle around Embiid and say, okay, what works with us right now and what's not working? What do we need to do? Clean house? What's your take?
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to answer that question because I don't even know, Aaron. And the reason why I don't know is because, they have a good dynamic duo. It's just, do they have enough cap space to complement that dynamic duo? Because, like I said, most nights you don't know who the third best player is going to be. Like I mentioned before, the Lakers, you know that the third guy is either going to be Rui or Dio or Reeves. But if you look at the Sixers, you don't know. People want to say Dio is incredibly inconsistent, but Tobias Harris has to be the most inconsistent player in the league. I have no hope for this guy. I'm not even a Sixers fan. I'm saying I have no hope for this guy. And also Paul Reed, I thought he was going to be a fantastic backup to Joel Embiid, and he's been a non-factor most of the games for them.
Literally.
So I don't know. They're going to have to do a complete retool of their roster. I don't think they should rebuild because they do have a top 2 big man in basketball in Joel Embiid, and they have one of the best young point guards in basketball, or shooting guard. I guess he's a 2 guard, Tyrese Maxey. So definitely one of the youngest, best 2 guards in the league. So they're going to have to free some of their cap from their bench and get some guys who can actually shoot and produce. Mind you, they did get Buddy Hield, but where has Buddy Hield been in this series? He's been a non-factor as well. So, Aaron, I have no idea what Philly does in the offseason. That's one question you're asking me that I just have no answer for. I have no idea.
I don't even think Philly fans know what they're gonna do. Mm-hmm. I think it's just you have to juggle so many things of trying to, so many situations you can go with. Obviously, they could go with rebuilding. They could go with, completely flushing out their team and just say, hey, you know what? The only person that's job is safe on here is Embiid, and that's it. They could do that too. I mean, obviously, look, we're going to wait and obviously see what happens.
You think they would ship out Maxey?
I think they might. I think for the right price. They might ship out Maxey.
That would be interesting.
Hey, you never know. Maxey to the Lakers, you never know.
Oh, I would go nuts if Maxey was a Laker. Him and Reeves together would be disgusting.
Oh, I know. You never know, though. That's the thing about the NBA is now, guys, everybody in the chat, everybody knows. You never know with this league. You could think these people are going to stay with these teams for their whole career. And it's why in the world would you move them? Okay, hey, we'll take your superstars. Hey, we'll do this, So it's just amazing how many times players move around and they move teams and or the few small amount that actually stays local to their franchise. So, and obviously the last person to do it was the late, great Kobe Bryant. So last person to play his whole career with the one team. But we're going to get into this tomorrow. Tomorrow, obviously, we have 2 Game 6s to worry about. The Mavs and the Clippers back in Dallas again. And obviously the Cavs and the Magic. Since we were talking about this already, let's get into it again. Manny, I think Dallas is I'm going to say it again. I said it earlier before. I'm still sticking by it. Dallas is taking care of this tomorrow.
1,000%. From the start of the series, I said Dallas in 6. And the thing I like about the Mavericks so much, Aaron, is that there's some nights Luka is going to carry. There's other nights where Kyrie's going to carry. So even though you don't know who's going to carry, it's always one of those two that is going to put his team on their back. And also, another guy we often don't mention him on Dallas. He's actually a guy I wanted the Lakers to draft. Sadly, he went 10 picks before us. Derek Lively. I was so high on him last year in the draft, and he has been phenomenal. I think he's been a top 5 rookie this season. Like, he's been really phenomenal for him. He's been grabbing the boards. He's been scoring on the inside. He's been playing great defense. He is just the perfect center to have next to Luka and Kyrie. And, of course, another guy that's I find also is incredibly underrated, Maxi Kleber.
Oh,
Another guy nobody talks about, but
dangerous.
I feel like dangerous. He can make shots and he could defend really, really well. I think Dallas has a very underrated squad, and I would go as far as saying they have a good shot at making at least the Western Conference Finals.
Oh yeah, imagine. Shoot. Obviously we know whoever wins this game is going to play the Timberwolves, but and that's going to be a challenge in itself. Anything's possible. Look, there hasn't been a Game 7 yet. Obviously, you could see it as, hey, if Dallas lets this go in Dallas to close out this series out, that's a fail on the Mavs. Now you have to go back to LA, go try and win another one, go try and take care of business in a win or go home for both teams. So, obviously some people predicted that it was going to go 7 games. I think it's still going to go 6.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to go 6. I think that the problem for me is, we talked about it earlier too, is, I'm sorry, but Paul George, where were you? Paul George, you scored, 11, 12 points in the game, the last game? Mm-hmm. You don't score. You scored, I think him and Zubac or something like that combined 22 points in their last game. And the game before that they won, that they almost blew the 30-point lead, they had 66 points combined. You're not gonna in this day of the league, you are not gonna win a game if you are not being as consistent as you are in these playoffs. You will lose every time, 100%. You will
Absolutely.
not. You will not have a chance. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the stats too. Even Paul George, 15 points. Zubac, 15 points. Terrence Mann, 11 points. Bones Highland, 11 points. That's their offense. That was it.
Go look at Amir Coffey's stats. He was horrible shooting.
Oh my God, Amir Coffey was terrible too. Look, everybody's gonna have everybody has a bad game in a series, but I'm sorry when Clippers thought they were going to win this game. I still think, with that performance, I cannot put my money down to say that the Clippers are going to tie this series tomorrow because they're inconsistent. I think that's the trend. That's obviously the trend of things and how things are going. And in this case, Manny, if the Clippers lose tomorrow and the series is over, where do you think LA goes from here?
You mean LA meaning the Clippers, right?
Yeah.
That's going to be tough. Personally, if I was the Clippers, I would commit to a rebuild. Their team is incredibly old. They don't have that many draft picks. If they weren't moving into their new arena, I would literally say they should commit to a long-term rebuild. Get what you can from I don't know if you could trade Kawhi, but if you could trade away Paul, if you can do a sign and trade with Paul George and get some draft picks, do a sign and trade with Harden and get some draft picks, they could literally have a great rebuild. But the thing is that they're moving into their new arena, so they want to sell their tickets. They want to sell to people in Inglewood. So next year they cannot have a rebuild. So they need to just ride with it and hope for the best. But personally, the way the roster is, they are not going to win a championship. Can they win a playoff series or two? Yes, they can. But the thing is, they are not going to win a championship. Their team is so old. And look, Matthew, I see you in the comments. You're saying I'm nuts about a rebuild, but the roster is old. You saw what happened to the 2022 Lakers. Yes, you guys made the playoffs. Congrats to you guys making the playoffs, but do you really think with your roster you have a shot at winning it all? Because even though I'm a Laker fan, like we often talk smack about the Clippers, but like the thing is, like realistically as a basketball fan, I'm saying,
yeah,
I don't think that roster is a championship caliber roster.
I think look, I think that the Clippers still are figuring out certain things that works well for their team and what doesn't. And I think that they need to say, look, if you want to keep a core group together as well, keeping a core group together is a whole lot different than deciding to have having a completely rebuild year of a team. So I think honestly, look, I think that the Clippers will stay together. I think they're not going to go anywhere. I think they're going to keep their team together. You don't know the status of Kawhi Leonard. You don't know how he's going to be with injuries. You don't know how Paul George is going to be. And obviously, the big question is Tyronn Lue did not sign a contract extension with them. So you never know if he might depart. You don't know this. But obviously, we'll get more into that in the offseason when free agency and all that stuff goes on. The last thing we need to cover is the Cavs and the Magic. Manny, who you got tomorrow taking it?
I got Cleveland finishing it off. I just love that young roster from Cleveland. They are so good. I know Donovan Mitchell is in trade talks, but think about how good he complements Darius Garland. Think about how good Jared Allen complements with Evan Mobley. That roster is so balanced. They're so deep. And I did say before the season started, if there's one team in the East that can challenge Boston, I say Cleveland can. And oddly enough, they can possibly get them in the next round. That is going to be another really fun series to watch. And it's also like I want to see the matchup, basically, Tatum and Brown versus Donovan and Garland. That's going to be such a fun matchup. Also seeing the big men of Mobley and Kristaps go at it. That is going to be such a fun series if it happens. But honestly, kudos to Orlando. Obviously, shout out to my Italian guy, Paolo Banchero. I'm very happy to see him finally make a playoff appearance and for him just, to just carry for them. But obviously, Orlando, too, they have a very good team. And personally, I think in about a year and a half, 2 years from now, Orlando will make an Eastern Conference Finals or an NBA Finals because their team as well is so young and so balanced. And I think they might even have a lottery pick this year. So that's going to be I think those too. Yeah, they're going to have a very, very fun team. It makes me happy. Of course, we're Laker fans. We like the big market, but also seeing these small market teams just build their rosters up from the ground makes me so happy to see. Like, for example, OKC. Who would have thought that OKC would have ended up with so many picks? Who would have thought they would have had number one seed? Who would have thought their whole roster of 22 years or less would have just swept the Pelicans away? Like, it's crazy how these small market teams just build and build and build, and they're so good.
Oh, yeah. Look, credit to the rebuilding teams. Obviously, they've really done a good job keeping and developing their young guys. And obviously, I think the winner of the draft, of picking up picks and drafting caliber stars, obviously the Thunder are the winners for that because we obviously know how many draft picks that they got. And they still have 2 years to come. So I think that if we had a vote of how many draft picks there was, I think Thunder wouldn't stand a chance with everybody. But the fun thing is we will be back Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time and 9:30 Eastern Standard Time to talk about all things about the NBA playoffs, matchups, exciting events. Also, we have a lot of fun things and a lot of exciting things happening coming up in the future. So please, if you're not already following it, make sure you're following the Instagrams. Make sure you're following our Facebook pages as well. Medina wasn't able to make it on tonight. So for Manny and myself, my name is Aaron. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will talk to you again on Sunday night, everybody. Take care of yourselves.
Peace!